This goes with Chapter 8, Section 1. We're dealing with markups, percentage of markups, those types of things in this section or chapter. We have three basic formulas that we're working with here, and probably should write those down someplace so you can apply them in the appropriate spot. We have selling price, that equals the cost of the item plus the markup. The markup can be determined by the selling price subtracting the cost of the item, and then the cost of the item is the selling price minus the markup. So those are your three basic formulas, and they're given and explained very nicely in the textbook. So let's see how those are applied. So we have number one, where they have the TV costs $161.50, has a markup of $138.45 and a selling price of $299.95. Then the percentage. Well, how do they get those things? Well, in order to get the selling price, they just took the cost plus the markup. So right here, selling price, cost plus markup, and they just added those together, and that's how they got the $299.95. Well, what is the percentage of the markup? Well, the difference, remember, any percentage of change, and so markup is the change, is the difference over the original amount. So this is the difference. The markup is the difference. So we have $138.45 over $161.50. Okay? So I always talk about the calculator math, so I figured I would actually just simply do the calculator math for you here. So we would have then 138.45 divided by 161.5 equals. And of course this is given as a decimal, and all of them have been, even though I've been automatically converting them over to percents. So remember, when we convert a decimal to percent, we move it over 2 spots. So we would have 85.72 would round down. So 85.7%, hence how they got that. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. We have a bookcase, cost is $32.40, the markup is that. So we would simply add those two things up, and we would get $53.90. Okay, pretty straightforward, just adding. Okay, do that one pretty much in our head. So now we're going to convert, though, then the difference, or is $21.50 over the $32.40. So again, let's put up our calculator up there, we'll clear. So 32.4 divided by, we need to top, 21.5 divided by 32.4. So then we would get 66.35. So as we move that over 2 spots, that 35 is going to round up, so that'll give us 66.4% as based on the markup. Okay? Another one, number 4, another example here. We have cost of the item is $75, and they give us the percent markup on that. So how do we find that? Well, let's just simply take the percentage of markup is based on the cost. So what is 75 times 0.8? So this amount of the markup then is going to be $60. So you would add those two up then at that point. So that gives you the $135. Pretty straightforward. So just change the percent to a decimal as what we've done before, right? Move it over 2 spots and then multiply. Okay? And that gives you your markup. And then you just add them together. All right? Well, another type of problem where they give you different types of information. They gave you the selling price. They gave you the markup. And well, we need the cost, and then we need the percent. Well, okay, how do we do that? We're working backwards. We know the selling price, we know the markup, but we don't know the cost. So what we would do then is simply subtract. So if we take 880, then subtracted from, the 2,333, and we can do it on our calculator, and we would get 1. Okay. And then they want the percentage, so it's the difference, right, that 880, right? So we would have 880 divided by, right, the 1455 equals, again, we're going to move this over 2 spots, So that'll be a 5. 48 is going to round to 5, so it's going to be that 60.5% is the markup. Okay? They give us a couple of word problems based on the same thing we've been working at up here, just moving the data around. Elbow Boutique sells blouses for $22.88. What is the cost of the blouse? If the cost of the blouse is $15.50, what is the amount of the markup? Well, okay. We know the cost, selling costs, and we know what we paid for it. Well, basically then we're just going to subtract, right? So we have to subtract 38. We can just do this one real quick on our paper. So 738. Just simply subtract. Okay, so again, it's just figuring out what they're asking you with the word problems. The last one I thought I'd demonstrate is number 16. It says Staples adds a $4.60 markup to a calculator and sells them for $9.95. What is the cost of the calculator? Well, again, you're going to subtract to get the actual cost because they gave you the markup, right? So 535. So that was pretty straightforward. Okay, and then what is the percentage markup? Well, so you're going to work on here, you're going to do the cost, the markup, because there's the markup, right, over the original amount. Here's the original amount. So it's going to be 460 over 535. So again, we can just plug it in the calculator. So 460 divided by 535. And we would have 85.89, moving that over. So we're going to round that up. 98 is going to round up, so that's going to be 86%. That's a markup. Okay, the rest of the story problems are very similar to that, or the rest of the word problems. So I don't think you'll have too much trouble with that. Just go slow and easy, determine what it is that they're asking or looking for, and I think you'll be just fine. Have fun.